This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. Boy, we have a lot to get into today as the A's are hot. They've won 5 in a row. They're now 29-18, dating back to July 24th, tied for the best record in the majors during that time, and that's the best record in the American League. Bullpen hot. Offense still really good. A great one-run victory last night in Boston. A lot of fun. We've got Brian Kenny, host of MLB Now from MLB Network, on today. I'll ask him about Nick Kurtz. We'll get into a lot of other things. I believe Liam Hendriks, former Athletic, is going to be here. And then A's Hall of Famer and Baseball Hall of Famer this past Saturday from the Hall of Fame luncheon, or brunch, I should say, the great Towny Russa. Man, this is going to be a good show. Last night, this is the series I've been waiting for, right? When you start saying teams playing better, looking better, what are they going to look like for next year? I said, let's see what they got in Boston. As Boston is, I've been saying they're in the playoff. They're in the playoffs. They're jockeying for a position. That's not necessarily the case. Boston now, after that loss, has dropped to the last wild card. And Cleveland is now just 2.5 games back of them. So these games are huge for the Boston Red Sox. And the fact that the A's have gone in there and won game one with a chance to win the series with either a win today or tomorrow, win today with a chance for a sweep, I'm excited. Like, all of a sudden, like, to me, that was one of the better wins of the season last night. The way Springs is on fumes, bullpen comes in, Spence, Hogan Harris. My God, what Hogan Harris has become as a reliever, incredible. You know, this bullpen since June 24th, probably the best in all of baseball, which is a major turnaround. I mean, last night was awesome. And I'm really looking forward to tonight with Mason Barnett on the mound facing the Red Sox again, see what he's got. I think he's got stuff. Shooty Babbitt will talk with me later at A's Cast on NBC about that. Lucas Giolito. And let's face it, Red Sox have dropped 7 of their last 11 since Roman Anthony got hurt. So they're not playing great baseball. So seize the moment, as now everybody in baseball is talking urgency now. Our guy, Torey Lovello, Giants are playing right now against the D-backs. The D-backs, the Snakes, are still in it after they beat the Giants last night. 11 games left for the Athletics. Some teams 12, 13 games, but we're coming down to the nitty-gritty, and this is the best time of year. No quote. Football and baseball, best time of the year. So much to talk about. And then last night, Kyle Raleigh. When you're sitting there, and I'm sitting here at NBC, and I'm paying attention, and you're seeing that he passes Mickey Mantle for most home runs for a switch hitter in a season. That's amazing. And then he ties Ken Griffey Jr. for most home runs ever in a season by a Mariner. And one night, you're passing Mickey Mantle, you're tying Ken Griffey. I'm like sitting to myself going, what are we talking about? This guy's not going to be the MVP just because of offensive stats. I mean, when you look at everything that a catcher has to do in a day, follow Shea Langeliers around. You got to do the pitchers meetings. You got to get with the meeting with the starting pitcher and the pitching coach. You got to know which bullpen guys are available so you can prepare for that. He's got to know everybody in the opposing lineup, strengths and weaknesses, all the studying that goes into being a great catcher and leading a pitching staff. That has absolutely nothing to do with offense. Aaron Judge is great, but Aaron Judge shows up every single day and only has to worry about one person. That's Aaron Judge. Cal Raleigh has to show up every day and prepare with other guys a game plan on how you're going to win each day. The time that a catcher puts in with his pitching staff before a game, and then you got to implement all that into the game plan during a game. If Kyle Raleigh is not the most valuable player this year, then we should just change the name of the award, just call it most offensive. Because that's basically what we're saying. He's the most offensive. Look what the guy did offensively. Yes. Are the numbers at the end of the year for Judge going to be better offensively? Yes. But Aaron Judge is not putting on gear. Aaron Judge is not getting behind home plate. Aaron Judge is not catching fastballs at 100 miles an hour continuously. Aaron Judge is not going through the wear and tear. This is the greatest year a catcher has ever had in the history of baseball. And no one's talking about all the stuff a catcher has to do before the game, after the game. A catcher has to be more than just about himself. Think about that. And Commander, I had it for you yesterday. Mike Schilt with the Padres manager, he said something. I heard it on Loud Outs, where he said, the thing about small ball that's so interesting? It causes guys to be about the team and sacrifice themselves for the team. And it's not about them and their offensive numbers. That's why small ball is key. And it makes me think about a catcher. A catcher will sacrifice his numbers and play when he's not doing well, when he's banged up and he's hurt and he doesn't feel good. And we go, he just gets to DH. Well, you think he still feels good just because he's DHing? When you're sitting there night after night catching 101, 198, and all the stuff that's coming at these guys and their preparation, my God, the Commander, he passed Mickey Mantle and tied King Griffey Jr. in one day. I mean, it's unreal.
It was incredible, and I watched the highlights when I got back to the hotel room after the game last night here at Fenway. As you can see Fenway in the background. I set up a new shot so people are watching on YouTube and on Twitter. You could see X. You could see Fenway Park behind us. But, yeah, it was incredible, and I think I heard he's hit 35 home runs left-handed, 21 right-handed. I sent you the number, and Jason Stark broke it down. They compared the numbers of what Raleigh's doing this year to when Mickey Mantle hit 54 in 1961, the year he didn't win the MVP because Roger Maris had this, the home run record, and what their records were when they hit home runs, and then how good the team was when Mantle didn't hit a home run. They were well over 500, and when Raleigh does a homer, the team is well below 500. So it shows you how powerful and how much he means to the lineup. And then what he's doing behind the plate, as you mentioned, is incredible that people aren't talking about enough. Yes, Judge is barely playing in the outfield again because of his arm, so he's DHing. So how much value is he really adding? Yes, he's having a historic year, and he's leading the batting title chase. And I know that's something that you guys follow on AceCast and NBC Sports California. But I'm with you. I think Raleigh should be the MVP because if not, you're just giving the award to the best offensive player for what it's worth right now.
And that has happened for years, but it's like then it's not really the MVP because it's supposed to be most valuable. And,
correct. Yeah.
And if you're taking away what a catcher does, how does a catcher win an MVP? Like, that's why it's like you need to follow a catcher around on game day and see everything that they do versus what an outfielder DH does. You'd be amazed at how much more time and effort this guy behind the plate has to put in for his team versus just a hitter. He's taking care of himself. It's all about him. A catcher can't be all about him. A catcher has to be about the team, the pitching staff, the starter, the bullpen. The meetings, ad nauseum, the meetings that these teams have before the game. We see it because it affects us and how we get guests. They meet throughout who's an outfielder meeting with before the game?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe having an advanced meeting on as a hitter, but they're out of what are you talking about? Outfield positional depth against the guy. And that's why you have that little chart or sheet they pull out in the middle when they're in the middle of the outfield. What's even crazier about that game last night, too, before we get to BK, is Dominic Canzone hit 3 home runs, and no one will remember that because of what Cal Raleigh did last night.
Wow. How many home runs does Calzone have? Like 10, 11, something like that?
He has 10 now, but yeah, he had 3 last night, and no one's going to remember it because of what Cal Raleigh did.
The guy passed Mickey Mantle and tied Ken Griffey Jr. It's impressive what he was able to do. 2 of the greatest players to have ever played.
And he could get to 60. I mean, he could get to 60 home runs as a catcher. And not many. He has a chance to. I mean, there's how many games left for them? Like 11 or 12. He has a chance to tie Aaron Judge's American League record if he hits, I think, 6 or 7 more. I mean, it's impressive what he's doing. He's playing catcher. And the last catcher to win the MVP, if I'm not mistaken, was it Buster Posey? I'm just going off the top of my head.
He was the last guy?
I want to say Buster might have been the last catcher to win MVP.
What was that, 2010?
2012. So 13 years ago.
It was 12?
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you why I remember that, but I know why. Or I know it was that year.
Was that your first divorce?
Should have been. No, I wasn't married yet then. Should have been Andrew McCutcheon who won the MVP that year, but the Pirates didn't make the postseason, so they gave it to Buster.
Oh, was Buster rookie in 10 when they won it?
Yes, he was a rookie that year, yeah.
2012.
It was his year after he had the leg injury or the ankle injury.
I mean, and I'm not talking about because I'm going to ask Brian Kenny about this, and he's going to bring up WAR and WAR factors in defense. I'm not even bringing up defense. I'm talking about the preparation of the game plan that every single day. Because let me tell you something. What happens when pitching goes bad? Everybody bitches and complains.
Yeah.
Right? No, I mean, is anybody bringing up WAR when the pitching staff stinks?
No.
Is anybody bringing up a catch? No, you're like, what's going on? Well, the catcher is a part of every single pitch. It's a big deal. Unbelievable the year that Cal Raleigh's having. And the Mariners have 10 in a row?
10 in a row, yep. They have a chance to be the second best team in the American League and make Detroit play in the wild card round. But
unbelievable. But you hear me talk about him all the time. Brian Kenny from MLB Network. If you don't watch MLB Now in the morning, you should. Here is my guy, BK. Now joining us on A's Cast Live. He's one of our all-time favorites. You see him on MLB Now on the West Coast, 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. A's Cast Live coming to you from the NBC studios in San Francisco. The great Brian Kenny is with us. But the only thing, BK, I went this morning and we didn't see you.
Yeah, we had a ball game on today. Sorry.
You gotta tell, hey, stretch drive, I need my MLB Now. I don't need Cubs Pirates. I need my MLB Now.
We can miss an inning, right? I'm with you. Yeah. The first inning, actually, today, first inning, I think they scored 7 runs between the two of them. So that would have been bad, but I get it. Yeah.
All right. We'll just start with A's and Nick Kurtz. Because, when you got, I mean, obviously, your show for the thinking fan, and no one does data and analytics better than you guys. Have you really taken a look at Nick Kurtz and look at how this is a kind of a historic rookie year? Because if you think about it, last year he was still taking classes at Wake Forest. He was still in college, and doing what he's doing now is incredible. Have you guys really broken that down?
Yeah, we haven't, except when we do leaderboards when he's there. But no, I know it's been kind of in a lot of obscurity, like a lot of what the A's have done this year. And you have the home ballpark, like, do you take that into account? But I think he's gotten through because he's just a legit 400, 600 slugger. But how he's doing it, like, this is, I guess he's what we thought Jack Caglione was going to be, right? Like, it was all that hype. For Kurtz, there was hype. I mean, I think he was known throughout the industry, but there wasn't the same sort of, here's Roman Anthony, here's Jack Caglione, and he's been better than both of them.
You would have loved our brunch on Saturday. Our Hall of Fame ceremonies was this past Saturday. And when you got Raleigh Fingers and Bert Campaneris, McGuire, Canseco, they made up, by the way. They hadn't talked in over 20 years. Tony La Russa, as a longtime baseball fan and really like a historian, Brian, you would have loved this when you just saw the greatness of what Dave Stewart, Carney Lansford, Terry Steinbach. You would have loved this event.
Oh, man, that sounds tremendous. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. One of the most underrated players in history, like recent history, last generation, I think, is Bert Campaneris. I think Bert Campaneris, there's still, like, if you mention Sal Bando, he's still very famous, right? Like, we know, like, Reggie, obviously, Raleigh, Catfish, like Gene Tennis, Sal Bando were at one level. And then, Bert Campaneris was a very famous guy, but I think now that we look back at shortstops a little differently, we're used to hitting shortstops, and we're not taking ourselves back in the day where Campaneris and Concepcion were talked about, Davey Concepcion of the Reds, were talked about as stars, because you had to be a fielding shortstop in the 70s, 60s, 70s, even into the 80s. I was talking to Cal Ripken for our MLB Network podcast a week or two ago for the 30th anniversary of him breaking Gehrig's record. And I was talking about, like, he would regularly have more than like 100 more assists than like what Bobby Witt had last year, who won the Gold Glove. 100, like 50 more double plays, like a lot more putouts. You had to have a guy who could field the position. Ground balls were everywhere. It wasn't strikeouts, home runs, and walks the way it is now. So you had to have a guy man that position. So we look at Campaneris, and we look at like a guy with a 110 OPS plus, and we go, oh, he's a little better than league average. Like, no. Compare him to his peers, Don Kessinger, Larry Boa, like guys who had to actually field the position. He was an outstanding offensive player, and he regularly led the league in things like bases taken, extra bases taken percentage, reach on an error. Here's a flat-out winner. You got me going on Campaneris. I don't think people realize, like, the sub-hall, like just below the Hall of Fame level we tend to lose sight of. Campaneris was a great player.
No doubt about it. I'm glad you went off on that. That's really cool. Before I give you my bee in my bonnet, I wanted to say I really have enjoyed you talking about how baseball worked in the playoffs when I was growing up, how hard it was to get into the postseason. It made the regular season mean a little bit more. I also understand the entertainment side, and a lot of money comes from the television side, and expanding playoffs has been everywhere in sports. It makes us, we all learned in 2020 when we only played 60 games so we could get that television money, how much the playoff money really means. Have you really thought about, though, how we could be the best of both worlds? How could we make it great for the regular season, and how we could also take care of the money side for the postseason and everybody getting in with the wild cards?
Well, that's the trick. I know my first reaction is, like, I like the tournament. Tournament is a blast, right? But I'm just always pointing out, as someone who lived through other eras, something is lost, right? That's all. That something is lost. I don't like that. I look back. It's funny. We had Keith Hernandez on a few weeks ago on MLB Now, and like, there's this feeling that, the Mets should have won so much more, and Davey Johnson just passed away. Yeah, he had great success, obviously, 86 championship. But those other years didn't quite get it done. The great races in 80, 85 with the Cardinals. They were winning 98 games, Chris. Mets were winning 98 games and falling short of the playoffs back then. So, like, they had this immense success and didn't make the playoffs. Also, I remember watching, the Yankees. There's this image of, the Don Mattingly, Dave Winfield years. It was like, it didn't work out, and Steinbrenner was angry, and everything. They were winning 92, 93 games in a bunch of those years. Ricky Henderson on those teams. And they didn't make the playoffs. So I don't know what's best. Like, you look back and you're like, wow, 92, 93 wins. Isn't there room in the playoffs for a team? Don Mattingly and Dave Winfield clubs? Like, yeah, there should be. My one thing I would say is, I think it would disincentivize winning the wild card if you made that first round wild card a knockout game. Go back to the knockout game. And I know it's not as much fun. It's less fair. That's the point. So that's the tweak I would make right away. I think until the Mets plummeted, we were looking at, the teams that were getting in, the sixth seeds. Like, we're looking at teams that are 13, 14, 15 games over 500. We're looking at good clubs. So we're looking at 500 teams. Now the Mets swooned, and now we're looking at the Diamondbacks barely over 500 competing for a wild card spot. That doesn't feel good. Normally, it's a little higher than that. But I think a one-game knockout would kind of disincentivize, like that wild card now. Hey, guess what? You have a very unfair round coming your way if you don't win your division, like the Phillies are doing.
Hey, the A's fans know that. 2018 and 19 won 97 games back-to-back years and ended up in a one game against the Yankees and Rays and lost both of them. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. There has to be something. Now, I want to give you the bee in my bonnet because that's something that I know you guys have been doing a lot. And we'll get into a tad disappointing also. Okay. The bee in my bonnet.
Give you credit.
The bee in my bonnet kind of comes from my NFL days working for the Raiders, where every single game, if you lost one game, the next week in the building was death, right? And what drives me nuts is we come out of spring training and we're talking about, we're just trying to get dirt in our cleats and break in our gloves, and it's early. And then we get to this time of the year and we have such urgency and every game means so much. It drives me nuts at the beginning of the year when I go, hey, guys, April and May and early June mean just as much as it does at the end of the season. And when the A's tanked it in May, that's why we're not in the playoff conversation now. It drives me nuts how in the early part of the season, everybody wants to be nonchalant. It's early. It takes time. You're a slow starter. Hey, if you don't run the full race, you're going to struggle at the end of the year.
Yeah, that was, you're right. That was the thing I remember, like early sabermetrics when, everything you did late was more important. It's like, he did that during the race. It's like, by the way, each win, how much more, how much more important is a win in September as opposed to April? It's not any more important, right? It feels more important. The stakes. However, how more important is it? Not important at all. It's one win and that's it. You're right. And maybe that's the next competitive advantage is to have, the team come out with their hair on fire. And you can adjust that, by the way. Like I know one thing that Buck Showalter, Harold Reynolds have said to me many times is, you have clubs that are, when they get to opening day, they'll say a lot of teams, it's the first time they've had their team on the field at the same time. A lot of times it's like, hey, we're getting the new guys worked in, veterans were resting, not making guys travel if you're in Florida, not making the starters travel across the state, all that. And they'll say, like, again, back in the old days, like the last 2 weeks, like you were playing your regular club in spring training. So when you hit the ground on opening day, your team was your team. And I think you're right now because there's so much performance maximizing with individual players, which is vitally important. They're a little late to get, here's our team on the field, relays, same guys, pinch hitting, this is your role, all of that. You could be onto something. Actually, you are onto something. There probably are teams that aren't, they don't have that heartbeat where it needs to be as a team unit right away.
I always love the tad disappointing you and John Heyman talking about the Dodgers. And actually, you could put that on the Padres right now because, like, the Dodgers have put it on the platter. But for me, I want to use that for the American League MVP because I understand what a catcher has to do every single day. He's got to come in. It's not about himself. He's got to come in. He's got to work with the starting pitcher. He's got to go to the pitchers' meetings. He's got to prepare for the other team's lineup. He's got to know everybody in the lineup. He's got to know which bullpen guys are available every single day. He's got to work with the starting pitchers. All this stuff before even the game starts. I get how great Aaron Judge is. He's King Kong. He's the guy. The offensive numbers, unbelievable. But Aaron Judge isn't preparing for anybody else other than himself. When I think of everything that the catcher has to do before the game and during the game and lead these pitching staffs, these catchers are catching more pitchers than ever before. They're catching higher velocity than ever before. It's crazy what they deal with. And I just wonder how many people are really, and I don't have a dog in the fight, whether it's Judge or Cal Raleigh. Last night I'm watching, he's passing Mickey Mantle. He's tying Ken Griffey Jr. You're like, this is crazy. Are we really going to, when we talk about most valuable, should we be looking at what Cal Raleigh has to do every day with the pitching staff beyond himself, helping so many other guys?
It's funny. You're right to a certain extent. Like whatever Raleigh and Judge are doing offensively, all right, for Judge to be the MVP, we don't know what the distance, but Judge had better be this far above, right? He's got to be this far above Raleigh for Raleigh's defense to reach Judge. My feeling was that Judge being 100 points in slugging and about 80 points in on base, which is about what it was very recently, I think I still go Judge. Now, at the moment, Raleigh, because we have cumulative stats, and WAR is supposed to take that into consideration, into its calculation, where you're getting positional credit and you're getting pitch framing credit, which Raleigh is very good at. And for a while, he had tied, I think somewhere when Judge was hurt, late August maybe, he had tied Judge in that, and also tied him in win probability added, which is an unfair stat, but it shows how clutch you are, how many games you are actually winning. Raleigh led early in the season, then Judge took it over by a mile, and then Raleigh caught up, and then Judge passed him again when Judge, was no longer hurt. If Raleigh is even in Fangraphs WAR, win probability added, and run expectancy, well then, yeah, he's got the tiebreak, and that's catching. But at a certain point, Judge is out hitting him and negating all those catching advantages. And I think he's there, but I think Raleigh is making a case. I know, to me, I'm trying not to get emotional over 56 home runs. It's like, damn, he's going to get to 60. What do you do then? Because even me, it's hitting me like, okay, all he does is catch and hit home runs. Okay, 60? Like 60? Really? So I hear you.
I mean, when you hear Mantle and Griffey, you're like, on the same night, you're like, this is truly amazing. All right, let's end on this because we got all of our fans now in Nevada, in Las Vegas. I know in Northern California, we have a lot of boxing fans. I will never forget Pacquiao De La Hoya. Obviously, Brian is so big in boxing. It was always the little guy is going to have a tougher time against the bigger guy. And when you had Crawford against Canelo, what did you think of the fight this weekend? And sometimes the guy who's smaller, it's always an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, on the by and large, right? You get two guys who are equal, bigger guy. It's a matchmaking trick, Two guys are thinking, whoa, they're really even. They're both great. It's like you realize one guy's 2 weight classes higher, right? Like,
yeah.
There's a difference. In this case, again, Canelo was fighting very comfortably at 147, at welterweight. When he was a young guy, when Canelo fought Mayweather, he was 147. He's 5'8". He's not a big, tall, rangy guy. So he's a champion at 168. He was a middleweight champ. He was, super middleweight champ. Then he went up to light heavyweight, grabbed a belt. But he's still 5'8". He's really thick. So I was telling people before the fight, I said, when they get in the ring together, there's not going to be much of a difference. Like Crawford's going to be the same size. He's going to be the same height at the very least. So Crawford's just kind of been like 140 pounds, and then he gets up to 147, and he still looks excellent. And, again, I think Canelo is aging a little faster than Crawford. I think he's got a lot more, miles on the odometer. So he's slowed down the style. He just can't go and hunt someone down anymore. Crawford won't be hunted down. And then on top of that, maybe Crawford is the most mismanaged fighter in history, right? He's been the best guy all along. Well, that's a real shame for him. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, all those years he could have beaten anybody, like in post-Pacquiao Mayweather, and that's even when Pacquiao was still active, like the thought that he could have beaten all of those guys, Keith Thurman, and he did beat Sean Porter, right? Welterweight with Danny Garcia. Welterweight was stacked with these excellent fighters. And Crawford should have been right in the middle of that mix, winning all the round robins. And now we learn at 35, 37, he's the best. That's a shame. I'm glad he's getting his due now, but wow. I mean, it's still, even though Canelo, I'm saying he's gotten a little older, you still got to do a lot to beat Canelo at that size. You still have to do a lot to beat Errol Spence. You have to do a lot to knock out Sean Porter. He's done a lot. I'm saying it's a shame the way the business is now, because if he's fighting, I know you're thinking the golden era, if he's fighting in the 80s and 90s, he's fighting 8 times a year. Like most guys, all guys did, even champions, and we would have seen this greatness on TV all year long.
Well, this past February, I saw Canelo at Pebble Beach playing at the AT&T. And don't you always say it's tough to get up in the morning at 5 a.m. and run when you're in silk pajamas?
Yeah, exactly. I know when you see him, I saw that get up too, and I was like, I don't know, man. Right? It's like it's straight out of the Rocky movie when he gets civilized. You can't get civilized, right? Exactly. And I like that you like Bee in the Bonnet. That's one of my favorites. You can also alternate. You're out west, Burr in the Saddle. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Burr in my saddle. I don't know what it is, but it's bugging me.
Well, I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a big fan of yours for so many years. I always appreciate the time. You be well. Enjoy the playoffs, and we'll talk to you in the off season.
Thank you, Chris. Always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
A's outfielder Colby Thomas joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live and discussed the success he's had versus left-handed pitchers in 2025.
Honestly, I don't know. In the minor leagues, other than this year, I was a reverse split guy, so I hit righties better. And in college, I hit righties a lot better. But this year, they had sort of put me in there more to face lefties, and I've gotten more confident about it. I've started to see more, and I mean, these are the best left-handed pitchers in the world. So being able to face the best of the best, I mean, it only gets easier, I guess. Like when you face guys like Scooble and you face like the guy like we're facing today. I mean, what an opportunity!
This guy's
awesome.
legit.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
Red Sox pitching coach and 2009 American League Rookie of the Year, Andrew Bailey, joined Towny on A's Cast Live to reflect on winning the Rookie of the Year and what the award meant to him in his career.
Yeah, it's a special honor. I mean, like you said, it's something that no one can take away. Probably one of the best years of my life, to be honest with you. From a baseball standpoint, just every day, just focused, and just things just kind of went my way, so to say. And I was very focused on my routines and stayed very consistent. But for me, I mean, I think winning that award allowed me the opportunity to kind of continue to play when things weren't going great.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
Streaming from NBC Sports, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Always love having BK on. The show's, it's my favorite baseball show, right? Because it's not your typical getting the same old cliches, same old. Like I was listening to a show on Sirius today, and it was back of the baseball card stuff, and I'm over that, especially at this time of the year. The thing that I love about MLB now. By the way, Liam Hendriks is going to join us, right?
Yeah, real quick, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on A's Cast. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, sorry, I got stuck talking to some of the A's guys out there.
Live from Fenway Park, an all-time A's great. How are you, Liam Hendriks?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing? I figured you'd enjoy this shirt. I don't know if it's reversible or not, but it's it was purchased from the side of the street outside of TD Garden. They have a really good array of shirt stands out here in Boston, so it worked out well.
Yeah. How you liking Boston?
We love it. It's great. Like the city's awesome. It's very walkable, which is great. They so when I was traveling last year, my wife would come to some of the concerts here, the Fenway series, and she'd wander home about a mile and a half or so, but completely safe. And it was great.
Yeah, it's such. People don't understand unless you go there how much these people truly love their teams, whether it's the Patriots, the Celtics.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The passion behind the Boston sports fan is incredible, whether it be the Bruins, the Patriots, the Fleet now with the Women's Hockey League, the Patriots, the Celtics, the Red Sox, obviously. They're starting up a Women's Soccer League here coming up shortly. So it's incredible to witness and be a part of.
So how are you doing? What's going on?
I mean, it's Where do we start? Yeah, I had some issues this year with started off with a bit of a core injury. Had like a strained side ab wall that we started doing stuff. We initially thought it was a sports hernia. So like when I was pushing to get back, which is fine for a sports hernia, not so good with a strained ab. So I kept kind of re-injuring it, and then now we're dealing with a little bit of an arm issue that we're trying to deal with. So it's been a long season. It's been a long 3 years for me. But look, it's unfortunately it's part and parcel of how the game goes. Sometimes it's not always smooth sailing, and yeah, it's been frustrating to say the least.
Yeah, no doubt, because you were riding such a high, and then of course cancer and everything said.
Yeah.
It's been so tough. As a professional athlete, how tough is it to always be dealing with trying to get back to what you were?
It's been really hard. I was talking. My wife asked me the other day, and it was like, well, I was just one on the IL initially, and it was when was the last time you really felt like you? And I said,
Yeah.
it was after cancer. It was probably the first 2 rehab games I had in the AZL when I was coming back from the cancer diagnosis, and I felt fantastic. And then unfortunately after that, my arm went, and since then it's been an uphill battle because I mean, my personality, it tends to be very full go with everything. There's no easy way out. It's doing absolutely everything I can to try and get back as quickly as I can, and that's what's worked for me for a number of years in my career. But while rehabbing, it's not an ideal scenario. So I've been pushing a little bit too hard sometimes, and it's been a tough battle. But yeah, these last 23 was tough, obviously dealing with the cancer stuff, but it's opened up a whole new avenue of what Christy and I are able to do off the field. And then since then, with everything, it's just been really hard as far as the rehab goes, and feeling like I'm turning a corner and then I have a setback or anything like that. So it's been extremely difficult.
Well, we all remember the great interviews we used to have with you when you were with the Athletics, where you taught. I remember you went down to AAA and you said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it my way. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out doing it my way. And all of a sudden, velo went up, career changed. You've always gone after everything with full gusto. How hard is it for you to really sit back and be like, I got to protect myself from myself?
Yeah, it's been difficult because I don't necessarily want to change my mindset. And look, when I went down to AAA, like I have to give credit to Fran and Rip Rod down there who kind of let me be myself, which is great. And then being able to I was rooming with Danny Coulomb, so another A's mainstay for a while. He's with Texas now, and I was rooming with him and being able to kind of bounce ideas off of him and all that sort of stuff. I mean, he and those 3 guys probably completely changed the trajectory of my career, and I wouldn't be here without him. So I always tell them this, but it's they were integral parts of who I am now. But since then, yeah, it's been tough. Like I don't want to change my mindset because it's gotten me where I am. But it's also like now it's starting to hinder me. But I know as soon as I get back and healthy, I'm going to need to go back to that. So it's like, how much do you want to take away with not necessarily knowing if you can get back to that same mindset and that kind of intensity and passion?
You were part of an A's group that nobody was really looking at, and then all of a sudden you guys took the baseball world by storm and had some great years. Looking at this new version of that, you're in the other dugout. When you start looking over and you see Kurtz and you see Wilson and you see Soderstrom and obviously Brent Rooker and a lot of these young guys, what do you see in this new version of the Athletics?
Look, I see a lot of what we had when we were in the 18, 19, and 20 years. It's a young core of guys that just have fun playing, and they rally around each other, which is cool. I mean, there's the adversity aspect of moving stadiums. You're in a different place right now, so there's a lot of things that have gone on that you either sink or swim. And these young guys having to go through that whole process while learning to play in the big leagues, it's a hat tip. And I was talking to Kotze then, and it's building character, and it's building in that sort of passion and that way of doing things, about making sure you're doing things the right way to build on for next year. And I mean, you look at Kurtz. I mean, I think Will Middlebrook said it best on the broadcast last night from the Nesson crew and the Red Sox side was, Kurtz looks like he looks like a young Jim Thome, and like whether it be the stance, whether it be the swing, whether it be everything. I mean, it's and it's hard to fault him with that one. It's impressive. Like some of the balls that Kurtz has been hitting is incredible, and like watching Wilson, it's just that bat to ball, but it's not just bat to ball making contact. It's bat to ball making contact with solid contact and quality contact, and that's it's a nightmare to pitch against. So kind of not all that upset that I don't have to throw against some of these guys either.
Well, hey, you never know. You may be back.
I definitely will be back. I mean, let's not put it
No,
that
back
way.
with
Come on, man.
us. There, you could be an
There
A
is
again
always
someday.
there is always that chance. I have a mutual option at the end of this year, so who knows? I got a brand new elbow that I'm trying to get figured, but once it gets configured in the right direction, I mean, I'd still want to play for a number of years. So it's now about me getting healthy, and who knows? Like I had obviously spent the most time anywhere in my career in Oakland or in with the Athletics.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's one place that Chris and I always talk about. It's like it's where I established myself. It's where we found kind of a home. And I mean, some of the guys that we had, whether it be Ryan Madsen, John Axford, Joaquin Sara, Yusmero Petit, Fernando Rodney, all these guys that I was able to like learn a bunch of stuff on. I would love to be in their situation, come back and partake and impart any of my wisdom or experiences over to the next group, and especially with some of the guys there that I already know with Emad and Emo and Kotze and Aldo there, and you got Dusty Hughes out in the bullpen who he could probably use a couple rungs taken off him that now. I'm sure he's getting a bit of a big head over there now, so he's the bullpen catcher. So, but yeah, I mean, that's always a possibility, and it's never off the table.
Yeah, pretty much the whole crew is still here. You'd fit right back in.
Yeah, from the coaches. I don't think there's any players left.
So when I you obviously in your career have learned from some failures, and something that I see, and I'm sure you see now as a veteran player, is like we are so afraid to let young guys fail. We want all the young guys to come up and then just have great careers. That's not how this game works. Talk about that, how, and I mentioned sometimes it's good for young guys to get their ass kicked a little bit and have some adversity. You've seen them.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Aaron Judge quote. And I mean, like you look at Judge and Trout, two of this generation's best players, and you look at what they did in their rookie years. Trout did not set the world on fire. Judge did not set the world. I think he was hitting like a $170, I think, and I hope he doesn't hate me for this, but it's like he had his batting stat line on his phone of what he did his first year up, and it was not good. And now you look at what he's turned into, and that's just because he really took everything he learned from failing and put that into action for the next however many years. And now you look at what he's able to do with being in the MVP conversation every single year. He's I think a two-time now, and it's looking like he's got a lot more in the tank right there. So it's yeah, I mean, you learn a lot more from your failures and your successes, and that's one thing that it's always going to be good if you can learn from that rather than kind of thinking you need to be spot on every single time. It's going to be a lot better for you. But unfortunately, in the game we have now, it needs to be rapid. You need to show success almost from the get-go to then justify them keeping you on the team. There's no ability to stick around and learn a little bit. And I mean, we've got some really good rookies on our side over here as well, with guys like Marcelo and Roman and Christian Campbell. That's even taking away like a guy like Sogard, whose cousin was a longtime A in Eric. And yeah, so it's like they're able to learn, but we've got a really good group. We've got a really good leadership group on this side that's able to kind of help them navigate that way without getting too big-headed with success.
Well, one thing that we always know is that you've always said you want to make this earth a better place, whether it's here, back home in Australia. People mean a lot to you. And ever since you've gotten cancer, a new focus. Tell everybody what you're doing now to help people who unfortunately get this disease.
Yeah, so I do meet and greets once every series, whether it be home, road, wherever. And it's just I try and identify a lot more with the young adult cancer patients, because when you really look at the grand scheme of things, we tend to get left out a little bit because of our age, and it's that in-between age. But it's also one of the hardest ages to navigate, because you are generally graduating high school, going to college, or starting your career, or getting into your first kind of job, and moving away from home, and you may not have that really good support system around you. So I try and meet with as many people as I can with that, and just talk about side effects, what you went through, all the little bits and pieces here and there. Because what I have learned through my journey is the more you talk about it, the less weight it holds. And so we're trying to remove the stigma from the words cancer, chemotherapy, radiation, tumor, treatment, diagnosis, whatever you want to say that has that negative connotation. Trying to remove that, because I mean, the life expectancy of anyone who gets cancer now is drastically increased in the last couple decades. And there's more research coming out every single day with they've cured multiple types of cancers. They've got better treatment plans for recurrence, or there's got better treatment plans for people of different age groups and all this sort of stuff. So it's just learning about it all a little bit and trying to impart as much wisdom as I can from what I went through. And and partaking that onto the next person. My Christy's actually on the board for the Lymphoma Research Foundation, so she's doing a lot of work behind the scenes as far as the kind of donation side of it to try and get more doctors, get more oncologists involved in lymphoma research. And yeah, so it's we're hitting it, firing at all cylinders, and that was I was lucky enough to be selected as the Roberto Clemente nominee for the Red Sox for this year and last year, as my sixth and seventh time being nominated. So hopefully this is the year I can finally knock that one off and get the little sticker I can put on top of my hat. But yeah, I mean it's great, like what we're able to do, and the Red Sox have been fantastic in facilitating a lot of it. And it's incredible, like how many organizations are very open and helping with making sure that meet and greets happen on the road, because without every single organization happening, that wouldn't happen at all.
No question, one of the great human beings to have ever been in our game. We're thankful to call you a friend. We're thankful that you've been a part of our journey and A's Cast and everything that you've done for us. Be well, my friend. Remember, you'll always have a home here. Always have a home. So when your playing days are over, as a broadcaster, you'll always have a home here.
No, I appreciate it, mate. It's it's been a hell of a journey, and the story's not over yet.
All right, buddy. You be well.
Appreciate it, Towny. Thanks for having me, mate.
The great Liam Hendriks. God, he is such a good person, man. He is such a great guy. From one great A to another, here is Hall of Famer, A's Hall of Famer, Baseball Hall of Famer, Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Famer, the great Tony La Russa.
Well, it is always an honor to have on one of the greatest leaders in the history of sports, no question in the history of baseball. Not only is he an A's Hall of Famer, he's a Baseball Hall of Famer, the great Tony La Russa, once again here on A's Cast. This is always a special event in your green jacket with all of your guys. I know this means a lot to you.
Well, it means the most because what makes managing and coaching players, and we were jammed with players my 10 years. In fact, it's almost an embarrassment of riches. And that came from player development, scouting. So I was, and the coaches, Duncan and McKay, we were beneficiaries.
Well, I think about what you guys did really helped carve the future for what baseball would be. When you talk about how to deal with players, how to deal with the bullpen, there was a lot of things that you did that people copied, obviously because of your success, and then what you would do in St. Louis. How proud are you of that people looked at what you did and said, you know what, that's the right way to do it?
The story that isn't told enough was the contribution of the coaches. Let me make this clear. The players play the game, and if you don't have the contributors like scouting and player development, a good organization, owner, general manager, so forth.
Yeah.
So the players, but they're human beings and they need to be tweaked and improved and corrected. And there's never enough told. Like, I get a lot of credit for Eckersley as a closer. It was Dave Duncan's idea. So we had, Renee Latchman was a coach.
Yeah.
Dave McKay, who's still coaching. And so I think we all felt that because of our background, and in our case, a lot of it was raised in the Oakland Kansas City A's, Oakland A's.
Yeah.
The A's of the 70s. They were teammates of mine.
Yeah.
We learned that it's talent, but talent isn't worth anything unless you compete and execute. So we really stress execution. The guys responded.
You think of a guy like Keith Littman, also an A's Hall of Famer. I mean, guys got to go out, they got to find that talent, which they were able to do. When you get around your players and you think about the greatness of the 3 World Series, winning it in 1989, you're like the father figure of these guys. What is it like now when you get together?
Well, I'll give you 2 answers. I'm going to start with the worst one, which is I am haunted, and our staff is haunted by only winning 1 of 3, because we felt no disrespect to the Dodgers or the Reds.
Yeah.
But when you're losing 5 and 4, there's something that I didn't do right. So the 89 World Series is a highlight. So you put that in one place. Not winning more than 1 haunts me personally. But the best part about our time together are the memories. Like last night, at dinner, we had 5 guys there, and there were so many opportunities for each guy to talk about their interaction, the coaching staff, and you can't, it's like priceless. And every time that you go over it, it's better than the last time you remembered it.
Yeah. Well, and I also think, too, it's like the winning is obviously what it's all about, but it's also, I know it's important for great managers, great head coaches, is how you influence a guy's life away from the sport. And I know when I've talked to, and I know a lot, Dave Stewart and your guys' relationship, how does that make you feel when they always talk about not only what you did for them on the field, but how you helped change their lives?
It's important to put it in a very honest perspective. Everything that I did, I learned from somebody. I didn't innovate anything. I'm being very honest. I played for owners like Mr. Reinsdorf, Mr. Haas, and later on Mr. DeWitt. And they required that the players be a part of the community. So a lot of what we did and a lot of what I did as a leader was talking to, here in the Bay Area during the winter, I would have lunch with John Madden and Bill Walsh separately.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm writing stuff down. So my whole history is talking with mentors, Sparky, Billy, Earl, Chuck Tanner. And if you understand that you always have something to learn and improve, it opens the doors to a lot of wonderful opportunities to learn. By the time you think you know it all, you start going backwards.
Bill Parcells in there too, right? Used to
Parcells.
do it, yeah?
Well, spring training, that was the Cardinals. It happened to be in Jupiter. The guys will tell you, very commonly, walking through our clubhouse with Parcells, Belichick, Ron Wolf, John Havlicek, and they would come around and just get on the guys. Sure, you got a sore ankle, you can't play today. I mean, it was beautiful. I remember Scott Rowland, the great third baseman, like Carney. Knight used to come in there and say, I scouted you in Indiana, and I didn't want you because I never saw you pass. All you did was score. And Scott would get so upset. Why? You know what I mean? So those highlights are memorable, and it happened with Oakland. It happened in St. Louis. And here again, I say, I can tell you, you give me something like adversity. We had a great strategy for adversity. You concentrate on what you have, not what you don't have. That's Lou Holtz. So I give you all our strategy, and I'll tell you exactly who taught it to us.
I absolutely love that. We had a moment here, had Jose Canseco here. He hasn't talked to McGuire in over 20 years. Mark McGuire came around the corner. We had no idea what was going to happen, but they got up and they embraced, and Mark McGuire basically told him he loved him. I know those two mean so much to you. We saw that last year when Jose got inducted. To see them come together here at this brunch, what does that mean?
I'm not capable of describing it. It's 20 years. But they were both rookies in 86 and 87 when I came over. The greatness of both of those guys and the family that we had, the unfortunate separation. And, I've been in touch with both of them forever, and they've, learned life's too short. They remember how great they were. I didn't see it. Jose's going to say, I guess I took a picture of the two of them together, but I guess they took a picture bashing, and Jose's going to get it to me. So what I'm going to tell you is, in a time where like Stu, and, by the way, I'm going to cross my finger and say this. To have these guys come back together here, this is historic, memorable, and I say this because we never, ever, this group never, ever gets together like we did last night, and we don't talk about Tony Phillips, Ricky, Dave Parker, Bobby Welsh. We don't, Vida Blue. We never, ever forget those guys, and it saddens me to think that they're not here.
There's no question. Some of the all-time greats. When you think about the Athletics, when we celebrated I want to say it was the 73 team. I think I did Vida Blue's last interview, and it's just to think that some of those great A's are not here. And speaking of great A's, you can speak about Monty Moore because back in those days, going from Kansas City to Oakland and winning the 3 titles, the home announcer would join Kurt Gowdy on NBC and would do the national broadcast when there were there was only CBS, ABC, and NBC back then. So the ratings were huge. Monty Moore did national games. He was a treasure for the Athletics.
No, he was, and he saw it all. I mean, he was there for the 3 wins. And I make sure I mentioned Sal Bando, the captain. So I thought it was. They changed it, and I have nothing against the broadcasters, the commentators that go around that are more professional and they do everybody. But that hometown flavor, I think, is something that this should always be included.
And then let's end on the big 3. You know how special they were. Anybody would like to have 3 young pitchers with that kind of talent.
Well, here again, tribute to scouting, player development. The one thing that most of us, and I would be upset if I didn't mention this, during the time of all that success, it wasn't Moneyball. They contributed. It wasn't percentages. It was the talent of these guys. Have a starting rotation like that, and have guys at third base and at shortstop like you had. The players created the championships, and nowadays there still is a tendency to information is very important, but it's not more important than the actual guys that are playing and the guys that are coaching them.
No doubt. I agree 100%. Way too much of the information. It's all about the players and really also the man who's managing the humans.
Well, unfortunately, now you have your organization send you a lineup. They'll tell you how to handle the pitching. So let me give you an example. If you're the manager and your coach, you have a leadership responsibility with the guys every day for 162 games, right? Hopefully postseason. With leadership comes responsibility. Well, the decision making creates the respect. So if you're sending down lineups and strategy, no, you can't bunt, you can't do this and that, where does the respect go? It goes upstairs. All you become down there is somebody, the players say, well, you're not the guy that decides who hits and what lineup. It's really destructive. It's not a good way to go. And there's some organizations that are figuring it out. You got to invest the trust in your guys. When you mentioned it, these are men, not machines, right? Chris, you're there one day, the next day I can walk up and look at you and say, hey, man, something's not right. Or I'll watch you swing, and you say, man, he's a little quicker today or not. Well, those percentages are percentages. It really has not been a healthy situation for us. If people have a problem with it, then that's their problem, because I know the game is better when the metrics guys know what they contribute, and then they turn it over to the guys that deal with the variations, the variables of men, not machines.
Well, clearly you're one of the great winners in our game, but to me, and I think your resume says it all, you're one of the great leaders. Just not in baseball history, but in sports history, with all the great players, the championships, and what you did. It's always an honor to have you on the program, and I'm so happy for you that you get to be with these guys, because I know how much they mean to you. Enjoy all of it. You look great in the green jacket, and we'll talk to you soon.
The secret to our success, our foundation, was family, guys that earned respect, trust, and caring for each other. Everything came from that. That means whenever we get back, it's a family.
The great Tony La Russa right here on A's Cast.
Thanks, Chris.